ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Jai Gurudev. So shall we do Manana first before we go to the next verse of what we heard and listened yesterday?
Yes, we can, like.
Or you want me to repeat some things of the last part so that I'll just go through the headings so that we know what the context is again. And then we can do Manana. Huh? It's an important shloka, so we understand it properly. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhuhu ma te sangostva karmani. So your choice is in action only, never in the results thereof. Do not be the author of the results of action. Let your attachment not to be to inaction. So the definition of karma yoga, which is, I think we'll just run through every para and so each one of us can share what we have understood there. So the definition of karma yoga is defined in two different ways, right? In the chapter 2. One is Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, and the other one is Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. And then the third definition is in the 6th chapter, which is dissociation from the association with pain. And we saw how maybe everyone can also share. How sameness is not there in karma, in the desire behind the karma or the results. So that sameness is only with respect to the attitude we have towards the results of action. Anyone
And
wants to share? Yeah.
and it is in the mind only, means result, whatever result is getting, we are getting, and the how we react to it, that sameness in the mind, sameness is there, but in karma, it is not there. In result, you cannot expect the sameness, because for karma you cannot do the same thing, means whole day, or the result will be not the same. And it's the samatva is in mind.
Correct. Right. And why don't we have the sameness of the sameness with respect to results?
Because whatever results we get result what we expected or more than that, or we get a failure also. So in all three situations, results, because of the results we have to keep our mind, and keep mind at sane, and it is a prasada. The example of prasada he has given, so it is all prasada. If we
Correct. So
accept, then mind will be steady. Mind will be in a samatva again. And
very well.
again, if we go desire for that results, then raga dvesha will come. And again, the failure. That means raga dvesha came, then again the mind equanimity or sameness will go.
Yeah. But why don't we have a say on the results of our action?
Because it is a Ishvara and it happens by the law of some, means law of Ishvara.
Love
There is
karma.
something more than that.
Yeah. Anyone wants to share?
They have given the very nice example for the physical, that thing means if you lift the hand, there is nothing physical, means the thought came and everything happened, like that the results may come. Means in physical action, when we are lifting the hand, there is no such a thing. It's a thought, thought inside which provokes the action.
Right. The reason why we have no choice over the results of our action is because we are limited power and limited knowledge with respect to the jivatva that we have, right? So there is,
And even we increase the power, it will be only the limited power only. He said for the he has given the example for the tenure. If you extend the tenure, it will be for that time only, and then that much is the limit. Tenure of any post or anything like that. No, so there will be always a limitation for you, and that unlimitedness is going to means that unlimited thing is taking care of everything. That law of Ishvara.
and then karma is totally desire based. See, every karma is prompted by a desire. Otherwise, there is no karma can happen. And this desire is again based on raga dveshas. Raga for something that I want to have or want to retain, and dvesha for something that I want to avoid or I don't want to, I want to get rid of.
He said that desire also, from if it is from the Shuddha Buddhi, then proper desire will come. And it depends upon the whatever you say, no, that are, we are, and everything.
So, yeah, correct. Based on our raga dveshas, we have a desire and we expect a particular result to happen from doing a particular action. But when that result is unpredictable, because we that is not in our hands. So when that result is not as according to our expectation, then if you do not have the samatva, you become a yo-yo. You either become very elated when what you wanted you got, or you got more than what you wanted, or you become depressed and you consider yourself a failure if what you wanted did not happen or the opposite happened. So there are two ways of looking at the result of our actions. One is as a yo-yo, the other is with samatva. So a person who is mature, who is pragmatic, who is uh, uh, who is centered, will look at it from the aspect of samatva. He will think, okay, this life has every action has different outcomes. So this is part of life, and I will take it as part of life. And then the other person is completely a yo-yo. He gets very elated or very depressed. He keeps swinging from these two extremes. There is no centeredness. But is that is only simple samatva, right? And then we talked about the limitations of the jiva. How we have no omniscience and omnipotence when compared to Ishvara, who has both of them. Ishvara is Sarvagnya and Sarva Shaktiman. And how God created the whole world, He just required a thought. It was only a thought, and the whole thing happened. And how Brahmashraya Maya, and from Maya came all the five Panchamahabhutas. So it is mithya, it is as though real. So the Jagat appears true and real because it's an offshoot from Brahman. And Brahman is in and through the whole of the universe. He is not apart from the universe. Just like how in a dream we just manifest everything. It is just a thought and everything happens. And the results of karma can never be predicted. That we saw, right? So when that you fall down, whether you know it as a physicist that you know about the gravitational force, or you're a person who is not who is ignorant, fall you will. But after falling, whether you get hurt, whether you don't get hurt, whether that is the last breath you will take, that is not in our hands. And then the use of one's free will. Anyone want to share about the free will?
That pragmatic view, can you explain again? Means everything is going to disintegrate, means dissociate, whatever is the. Can you read that line, pragmatic view, and that?
Yeah, 1 minute. I'm just trying to look up for the actual definition of pragmatic, what it means. Pragmatic is dealing with things sensibly and realistically in a way that is based on practical rather than theoretical considerations. Pragmatic is one who's very practical, so to say, and sensible.
And what did he say? Everything will be fall apart. Whatever is coming together will fall apart.
That is the nature of things.
Okay.
See, he said you might check your car, check everything, check the brakes and everything, but it's still the brakes might fail. So there is no guarantee that just because you've taken it to the garage, your car will be in full shape on the road. Anything can happen. So it is not that every truck driver takes to the road without first having checked the brakes, but that anything can go wrong at any time. This is because when things are put together, their tendency is to fall apart, whether it is a human system or any other system. The tendency is always the same. This tendency to fall apart applies to relationships and houses. In fact, that's what Swamiji said. We often spend more time maintaining our house than living in it. We spend more time solving problems rather than living life. So, therefore, here you can go only by your free will. There is nothing else you can do. What the result will be depends on so many unknown factors that it is always a question mark. So, what is that free will that we have, which is different from what animals have? Animals are instinctive. See, when we need to get a point across, like what Shankara did, any form of knowledge is to, and what Krishna also did, they use comparison so that there is, you can, you can get that, the concept becomes clear. So here, in order to bring up the aspect of free will, the comparison is with respect to animals that live instinctively. They have no choice. They live choicelessly, instinctively.
Here it was said, na, you will do any karma the way it is you want to do, or the differently, or differently. Means you have to do that karma, but you will do it differently or the way it is required. Isn't it? Means I didn't get that. Ki how any. Okay, you continue.
No, no. What is your question?
Means whatever will we have, if we have to do something, either we do it the way it required or we do it differently. Means the other way. Means we have a will, no? So we have a choice.
Correct. So we have a choice with respect to doing the karma,
Yeah.
not doing the karma, or
Or do
doing
it
it differently.
differently. Mm.
Kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyatha va kartum shakyam. So this is the free will that we have. So here, this limitation is not helplessness. Since you do not have a complete choice over the results of action, you had better recognize this limitation. Limitation here is not helplessness. Helplessness is felt only when you do not accept the limitation, and therefore it has a negative connotation, whereas acknowledging limitation is being objective. Therefore, dismissing the concept of helplessness from our minds, we recognize our limitations as individuals. So, because I understand this limitation, I can respond to the results of action in terms of samatva, evenness of mind. So, because why? Any result can be responded by two ways. One is with samatva or as a yo yo. That again is in our hands. That again is exercising our free will. So, free will is not just with respect to action, it is also with respect to the attitude with which we take the results of our action. So these two lines, depression is created by some onerous responsibility you have assumed, one that is absolutely illegitimate. You take what does not belong to you and then smart under it because you cannot always produce what you want. This is a fact. What came to my mind was, we often want all our family members to fall in line with what we want them to do. Example, you have a child and you want the child to do, say, he or she has done the Art of Living course. You want them to do their practice. You That you want them to do is fine. But then what happens? We start feeling bad and we think we are a failure if they're not doing it. And then we start, feeling helpless, so to say. But there, you just educate and ignore and let it be. This is just one example, but we may have several other examples. Then why do you not just accept the fact? All that is required is to accept it objectively, to accept that this is how the creation is. And then the cause of one's sense of failure. So, what is the cause of our sense of failure? Number one is because we have limited knowledge and limited power. Therefore, we do not know what the result of our action is. But we consider it a failure because our actions are prompted by our desires, which are again based on raga dvesha. So, if we do not get what we want, we consider ourselves a failure. So, because you take, where is that?
We feel failure because of the limitations again.
Yeah,
Because hmm,
because we do not understand that we have limited power and knowledge, because we do not accept that. Therefore, and because we have limited knowledge and power, the result is not according to what we expect. If you think you are the author of the results of action, you cannot but have a sense of failure. In our understanding is not clear because, but why will anyone think it's a failure or sense of failure when he or she does any action? Is because they do not recognize the fact that they are not the author of the results, they are only the author of their action.
and they may be feeling the helplessness, um, the failure. Ki I have not done it. I have not given 100% like that. Also, na helplessness.
Yeah, if a person has not done 100%, that will affect him. Yes, of course. That you should have done your 100. That is your choice. No, whether you want to do it 100% or you just want to put little effort and then leave it, that is up to you. Then you'll end up with regret. But here the question is about You've done your 100%, but your results are not according to your expectation. So then, if you realize that you have no say over the results, then you will be in samatva. Whereas if you do not realize that you have no say over the results, then you'll think you'll have the sense of failure.
Hariom, like this for us, like we as we are reading, we understand, but how can we explain to a common man this thought process? Like you have given your 100%, still you did not get the result which you desired. So how can we explain? Like we have to educate them, right? So in what simple way can we educate?
I mean, you can give some examples, no, of like what the example of the road, crossing the road.
Yeah,
Or
but
even
a
when you
person giving his 100%, like he's like I've read some just a small just bit of news, like in which one UPSC student, she toils whole year, and just because of one mark she is her whole year is wasted, and how she had that suicidal tendency. And then uh, when she reverts back, then she realized that that was not the end, but on that verge of that failure, when she is having that suicidal tendency, that is very difficult situation where one needs to be like attended so that she doesn't do anything, she doesn't harm herself. So I was thinking in that terms. It's very common, and it's there where the usually the students, they uh, go for suicides, and they can't overcome their emotions, that how hard they have worked whole year, and just because of maybe one mark, or in maybe in some they've completed their written papers, and they again and again they are failing in the interviews. So or maybe in other professions also, like in post graduation too, people trying hard, not getting. So for student it is very it's very common situation which they are facing. So I was just while discussing that, uh, we just came that thought, and even that depression, that it is created by our, that onerous responsibility. uh, yeah,
that is why
they
we
can
have these
come.
proverbs. See, when one is exposed to this knowledge,
Yeah,
then there is no sense of failure. You'll take failure as a
yeah,
stepping stone.
yeah.
We have these
That is what
proverbs,
I was
that's why, no?
thinking. Yeah,
When the
actually we are exposed to this knowledge, but the but the children who are not on this path, for them to it is difficult to explain, tell them that it is your prarabdha, or tell them that maybe something good is waiting for you. So it is difficult for a non spiritual person. For us, we can easily correlate, and we get centered, as very very soon we get centered, because uh, uh, naturally this knowledge is seeping in. But for a common man, it's good.
See,
Yeah,
for
you can
students,
carry.
what I feel is that just being with them, being in their space, I am there with you, giving them a big hug, you know, that I know this is a challenge, agreeing with them that this is a challenging situation. I know what you're going through. Just being there, being with them, being like a friend with them, and then just hugging them. They say in the Western world now, scientists say that the uh, best medicine for a child's depression is a mother's hug. So maybe that will work. At that time, maybe knowledge may not sink in. They are not in a mood to get in. I was
Yeah.
once in New Zealand when the earthquake happened, and probably that is why Gurudev sent me there. And it was after 200 years that they were going through some calamity. They have never faced in New Zealand. There are no wars, nothing happening. But and I could make out that during the advanced course, whatever knowledge, it was like a glass wall. They were not absorbing it. I can make it out that it is not going through the knowledge. And then during satsang, I started singing in English because whatever they were mechanically singing in Hindi, looking at the computer on the screen, and that was not doing. So when I did an impromptu satsang in English, all the songs that I learnt in school, many oldies also got up and they started singing with me. There were a lot of foreigners in the advanced course also, along with the Indians. And that broke that glass wall, that barrier that was there between us. And then they all came around, and that whatever stress they were going through due to the earthquake, that just vanished within 4 days. They were all singing and dancing. So out of that depressive attitude, they just came out. Something else works. Maybe knowledge does not work at that time. The satsang worked. Just being there with them, comforting them. At that time, probably they are not in a mood to listen to knowledge. If we have not given sanskars to the children, like we have not given stories to them, like the grandmother stories used to be given, Ramayana or whatever. There are so many, in Divine Shop also it's available. If you have not made this kind of comic books available to them where they can reach all this and get into good sanskars, then if they are not going to come when they are depressed into knowledge. That time maybe just hugging them, talking to them, I am there for you, that will work better. I know what you are going through. You want to talk about it, talk. If you want to keep silent, I'll sit silently beside you. I am there with you.
And
Jai
we can
Gurudev.
always say, no, okay, there is another chance. It's not a last chance also.
Yeah. And we have all these stories from the past, like King Bruce and the spider. The spider, there's so much from the spider that we can learn. So these are things that we can give them. And for me, when I was studying, my one go to quote was from Swami Vivekananda: when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And that really kept me going with whatever little challenges that were, that I faced as a student. So I think having these quotes, having these exposure to, that is why in school we had something called moral science. I think that was mainly a convent kind of a thing, but this is what that spiritual quotient needs to be developed, and that has to be developed right from the beginning. It is not like you are only focused on IQ all the time. Your emotional and spiritual quotient also needs to develop simultaneously in order to take care of um, these situations where just a failure in an exam or not able to be successful should not lead one to depression and failure and committing suicide.
That
So
is
here,
what explain the yo-yo mind again, that failure also they are not able to digest.
so do not be the cause of the result of action. Ma karma phalahetu bhuhu, because you are not. Then what are you? You're only a karma phala hetu. Sorry, you're only a karma hetu. You are merely the cause of action, not the cause of the result of action. When we realize this is what we need to realize. If this knowledge becomes grounded and strong in us, then you will automatically have the samatva. But just having simple samatva, being practical like a pragmatic person, is not making you a karma yogi. So what makes you a karma yogi?
You know that
Mm.
there is a only we have a adhikara of karma and not the on the result. So we will get going doing our what is required, that karma is required. And yoga is in a samatva, not in action. That will also keep going. Means you have a right on action, but not a result.
So, why is recognition of Ishvara important for Karma Yoga? See, a person who is pragmatic, who simple has simple samatva, he is also not going through that yo-yo phase. But what is the difference between him and a person who is a karma yogi? He is also living his life and he is not affected by the results. He is maintaining his equilibrium. But what is
Again,
that
the
difference?
limitations, power, that all
That
that
he's all understood.
yeah.
He is not coming from the space of limitations of his power knowledge, but he or she takes it as with uh, with an equanimous, balanced attitude. The results. Oh, this is how life is, and you move on. He can live the whole life like that. But is there any evolution? He will accrue karma because of his actions, and then he's developing that the agami karma is getting into his sanchita, his balance, and then he'll be born again and again and again, right? He will continue in this cycle of samsara, a person who has simple samatva. Whereas what is karma yoga? Karma yoga is one of the lifestyles that a person adopts in order for which purushartha? For moksha purushartha, to get out of the cycle of birth and death.
So in simple karma yoga, there is no means mumukshatva desire.
Simple samatva, not simple
Mm.
karma yoga.
Oh, sorry, simple.
Simple samatva. Mm. Yeah, because he's just living life like a person who's an atheist. An atheist, but he's an ethical person. He's following all good conduct. Everything is nice. Everything is he or she is doing according to the law of the land. Or he's sticking to the right side of the law. But he's an atheist. He or she does not believe in a higher power. Whereas for karma yoga, the recognition of Ishvara is important. And why is that important? Anyone wants to share why recognition of Ishvara is important? I know today we're just doing a recap, so we have all this, we have good understanding of this.
After recognizing Ishvara, only then he can be free from that result of action. No, otherwise he'll be always hooked up to leaving the result of action would be easier for him uh, than not being in that karma yogi state.
And that postman example. So he's giving money, but he's not giving the money. Someone else is giving the money. If he
Recognizing
understand for the result like that, so he's not a karta and getting a result which is a higher power giving the result. Result is not in his hand.
Very true. So unless we have this recognition of Ishvara, there is no question of prasada buddhi. That is number one. Second is you're only living your life with your limited, uh, you're contained with only this world. You're not even thinking about the higher self or the there is no evolution, so to say. You're just living life practically, and all your life you can live like that.
If we and if we don't have a faith that Ishvara is giving, and whatever results we are getting because of that law of Ishvara, so we will make our own laws, but still we will not get a result required. Then there will be the again mind in the yo-yo state, and all that will happen. So if we Ishwar Pranidhan means we surrender to the God our results, then it will not happen. So that higher power, recognizing him, I am not doing somebody, means I'm doing on a physical level, but the result is from the another level, which is not in his control.
So that is why you must first recognize that the author of the laws produces the results of action and that the laws themselves do not. When you go one step further and recognize the author as Ishvara, the Lord, you have the beginnings of Karma Yoga. And what is the nature of this law of the author? He is not just the intelligent cause, he is also the material cause. So he is in and through creation. He's all pervading. He's pervading through creation.
He is the Nimitta Karna and the Upadana
Upadana.
Karna
Right.
and a Sarv Shaktiman, like omnipotent. Sarvjana. Omniscient is Sarvjana, Sarvjana, right?
Sarvagnya. Sarvagnya.
Sarvagnya. Sarvagnya, right. And omnipotent is Sarv Shaktiman.
See, without Ishvara, what we have been discussing is nothing more than a pragmatic approach to life. But here we are dealing with a purely religious approach, which is entirely different because it recognizes Ishvara, the Lord, as the giver of the results of action, karma phaladata, and oneself as only the doer of action, karma karta. Therefore, to be a karma yogi, one has to accept Ishvara. So there is that element of faith that comes in, that shraddha that comes in. So unless you have shraddha, you cannot recognize Ishvara. Going back to this example that I came across, I'm not sure whether we did this in the very beginning. Is that supposing someone gives you your
That dissociation Vakhya of the yoga, here he should apply. Otherwise, means whatever result is getting, he should dissociate it from that pain because of the result what he got, means adverse effect. So I was thinking like that. If he surrender, then he will not have that pain. If he takes as a prasada, then he will not have a pain. Sorry, I could not explain. Okay.
no, you're right. Because you're uh, taking it as prasada. How will you take it as prasada? That laddu example was given, right? Someone simply gives you some laddu. You have decided not to have any sweet. So you will say, no, I don't want to eat the laddu. It just came from the shop. Someone brought it. But the same laddu, supposing someone tells you it has come from Tirupati.
Temple. Hmm.
then there is a shift, right? See, that's because you're religious. If that person is pragmatic, he's only practical, he will refuse even the prasada. For him, that laddu or that laddu that came from Tirupati makes no difference. Both he will look at as only a sweet. Whereas there is, when you're religious, when there is that recognition of Ishvara, recognition of the divine, then there is an attitude. See, we are not able to understand that because we are all religious, right? But so for us, prasada is prasada. But for a person who's an atheist, for him, both are the same. For us, the moment we know it has come from Tirupati, or even our own home, we've done something, some puja, and then that's coming from the altar. You've offered it to the Lord and you're taking it as prasada. You will eat it no matter what. And when you eat it with that bhakti, with that attitude, with that reverence and respect. Even if it is a little sip of water. That is why that prasada can be even a leaf, water, fruit, even a child, which is what Swamiji explained. So once you offer it to the Lord, it becomes prasada. So therefore, we offer all our actions unto Him. And then the result, what we get, is prasada. So we take it with that attitude of honor and respect, irrespective of what that result is. That result might be what we expect, what completely opposite of what we expect. But you still have samatva. Plus, you are a karma yogi. Because what is happening when we have this attitude is that number one, you're offering all your actions unto Him. So you will only do what you have to do, and the result is not affecting you. So your raga dveshas are slowly getting neutralized little by little, and you're ultimately getting the antakarana shuddhi. And as a karma yogi, so that is why Swamiji said that is the first step for becoming a karma yogi is to recognize Ishvara. The next step is, of course, to be exposed to this knowledge, because the purushartha is of moksha. Purushartha is not just live, dance, live, eat, drink, make merry, and die. That is not the purushartha. That is of a pragmatic person, an atheist. But our purushartha is of moksha. So then you expose yourself to this knowledge. And the explanation for human suffering. So then we will not um, blame God for creating someone with a golden spoon and having someone who is having to starve day after day. Because He is only the giver, karma phala data. He only gives the results of action. And who authors the results of the actions is we. And we make a blueprint of that using our free will. That is where the free will comes in. You create a blueprint for yourself. Do you want to develop good samskaras, be on the path of evolution, or you want to go the other way? That is dependent on you. So you create your karma. And according to one's karma, their life is determined. So you cannot blame God saying, oh, He's not compassionate. How come He has created such a disparity? When you look at so much human suffering, God's compassion falls apart from me. Then I'm told that He's justified in whatever He does. So He says the explanation is that in this world of living beings, in each unit of creation, there is a sthula sharira which is in keeping with one's karma phala. Ishvara, defined as the karma phaladata, is not to blame, nor do you need to justify Ishvara's action either. To do so would only be justifying your own. You did it and you got it. You asked for it, you have had it, and you have it also. You will continue to have it because you keep asking for it. There is no one else, therefore, no one else is responsible for what comes to you. Every jiva is responsible for what that person is. This is the kind of responsibility that is assumed by the jiva here. You have a capacity of free will to perform action. You can do whatever you want to do, but the result is always something that is taken care of by the law, that is Ishvara. And why is all this understanding necessary? We have to go one more step further to understand the psyche that operates on the basis of one's likes and dislikes. Ragadvesha. So it is our ragadvesha which is directing our desires and therefore our actions. And it is the results of these actions which will determine how our life is going to be. So we have actually created the blueprint of our lives. There are a lot of likes and dislikes embedded in us which are not shaped properly. So they may be unconscious, subconscious, or whatever, but they are unshaped likes and dislikes. But they are evoked when situations appear before you. Raga is that which is pleasing or desirable, and Dvesha is that which is undesirable. So, what does a karma yogi do? Does he act according to his raga dveshas, or he acts according to what is to be done?
What is to be done?
What is to be done? Whether it is difficult, that is where Swadharmi Nidhanam Shreya Paradharmo Bhayavaha. Even if your Swadharma is difficult for you to do, you pretty well do it. You will not take the easy path out. Avoidance of the undesirable is also fulfillment. So, this is where, based on again raga dveshas, so avoidance of you have aversion to certain thing. So, when you end up having avoided something, a calamity, where Swamiji mentioned, oh, this person actually becomes a devotee because something bad in his life that he thought he wanted to avoid has been avoided. Some people have become great devotees simply by avoiding what could have been a very serious accident. They say that God saved them and they have a great relief. Thus, avoidance is also a fulfillment. Therefore, all your activities are nothing but ragadveshas, and all your psychological problems are also nothing but ragadvesha. But you have no ragadvesha in deep sleep. This ragadvesha, yeah, please go ahead.
Sleep and something other also. He said there are means in two things you don't have that raga dvesha. In sleep, either sleep or awareness.
Hmm. See, what is a person who is a true karma yogi? He is like having, he is having that deep sleep state even while he is awake. He is not bound by his ragadveshas. The next part will be binding and non-binding raga dveshas, right?
But
So
again, there is, he said, no, where you will do the karma according to whatever is in conscious and subconscious things. Can you read that conscious
no,
and
those are
subconsciously?
the raga dveshas. Raga
Raga
dveshas
Dveshas. Okay.
are,
Hmm.
some of them are conscious, you know them. Some of them you know, you're aware.
Hmm.
Some of them are unconscious. You never know, but when there is a situation that comes up,
It will pop
then
up.
they surface up.
Hmm. Hmm.
See, when everything, that is why Gurudev says, when everything is nice and happy, it doesn't take great, it's very easy to be happy and a steady state. It is when you're thrown in a challenging position,
Hmm.
situation, that is where your the strength of your sadhana, your whether you're putting your knowledge into action to practice, that is when it shows up. In spite of humiliation, are you able to keep your cool? When everyone is praising you, being happy is no, doesn't require anything. You'll anyway be happy. But when you're facing insults, are you still are you do you still have that same equilibrium within? That is a test of our uh, the strength of our knowledge, right? So there are lots of likes and dislikes embedded in us which are not shaped properly. We may call them unconscious, subconscious, or whatever, but still they are unshaped likes and dislikes, meaning that they are not very clear to you, but they are evoked when situations appear before you. All these are included in the term ragadvesha. So, what should you do when your whole life is dedicated to the altar of ragadvesha? So, there is this. So, supposing our life is only based on ragadvesha, so even avoiding something which is bad will become a fulfillment. But here we will have to rise above this, right? So, this ragadvesha argument is simple and complete. Certain things should be kept simple because the more you complicate them, the more problems there are. This applies especially to psychological problems which are based on one's anxiety to fulfill likes and dislikes, and also on the judgments one makes with reference to their non fulfillment. The necessity for karma yoga is because people are in the hands of raga dveshas. Their behavior, their activities, their responses, and prejudices are all controlled by likes and dislikes. This could be cultural, racial, and otherwise. So, this we will have to understand. I think we will stop here. Preferences should be binding, non binding, attitude of a bhakta. This we've already dealt with, right? And we know binding, non binding. Yeah, we've almost come to the end. So, the what is the nature of a bhakta? Attitude of a bhakta is no matter what the karma phala is, I take it as you're bringing in
Stronger.
Ishvara to your understanding. That is what converts a pragmatic person into a karma yogi, is becoming a bhakta. So you're in, I think in the ninth chapter or so, he says, you offer everything unto me, even opening, closing the eyelids. So then that, yeah, you're bringing in the yajna bhava. So everything is done as an act of devotion, and that purifies. That is the sincerity in action that Gurudev talks of it. He says clarity in the mind, purity in the heart, and sincerity in action. So you'll automatically do your best. Supposing some garbage can is to be cleaned up, you have to do it. So you will do it to your the best. You're not bringing in raga dvesha. Oh, I don't like the smell. I don't like to do this. Let someone else do. You do it no matter what. So when our life is governed by raga dveshas, whether it is physical or psychological, we are not on the path of karma yoga. So then automatically complaints drop. No, the first thing that happens when we take everything as prasada is grumbling drops. Once everything is prasada, I have nothing really to complain about. I have only something to learn. You'll only become wiser with every passing event based on what the results are. You'll only become wiser. At the same time, Krishna says, let there not be attachment to inaction. Action itself is not the problem. It is your response to the result of action that is the problem. Thus, inaction here means fear of action, not of action as such, but fear that the results you want will not come. Even before you begin doing an action, you expect to fail. Therefore, Krishna told Arjuna that karma itself is not binding, nor does the karma phala bind him. It is his response to the karma phala that makes karma seem like a bondage. Thus, let there be a love for action, but let the results be received by you as prasada. So, this akarmani sangaha ma astu is out of fear of the results of action, not doing the action. That should be dropped. I think. Anyone wants to share anything before we stop, before we close?
Just wanted to share one small this thing, like when we were reading the binding desires, no. So I am into a habit, like I want my food to be hot. So while we were reading from 2 3 days, no, we were covering this verse. So uh, when I was taking my food, it was not very hot. So I had that thought, should I warm it or should I eat it? Then I said, no, no, it's fine. I'll eat it this way. So that it is not binding me. I that incident, or like that small, it is a small thing, but it made my mind to think like, why should I make it hot? All anyway, it is harmful eating very hot. But as I'm into practice of eating hot, so I tried to uh, shift my this attitude that no, it's fine. If it is not too hot, it's fine also. So this is a small thing I wanted to share.
Yeah, very true. I mean, unless we are aware, no, these raga dveshas can creep up in so many ways.
Yeah.
Very true. Thank you for sharing. So it is not karma that binds, it is the karma phal, it is the attitude to the karma phala that makes karma seem like a bondage. Right. Hmm. So we'll close here today, and tomorrow we'll begin with the Yogastha Kuru Karmani Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya Siddhya Siddhyo Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
I'm actually really hopeful. Um, and the number
चलो विल डू ए शॉर्ट मेडिटेशन ना सब लोग आराम से बैठ जाइए एवरीवन सिट कंफर्टेबली इसलिए इस रीढ़ की हड्डी सीधा रखे लेट्स कीप आवर स्पाइन इरेक्ट let's take our attention to the top of the head and become aware of the vast sky above the head. सिर के ऊपर विशाल गगन है उस गगन से तरंग हमारे सिर पर पड़ रही है इस वक्त इसका स्मरण करें Become aware of the vast space and cosmic rays from the universe falling on your head right this moment. मुस्कुराते मुस्कुराते सारे तरंगों को अपने भीतर स्वीकार करें With a smile, receive all the vibrations, cosmic vibrations into your body. Vedic chantings are happening. All other sounds are there. Just welcome them all. मंत्र घोष भी चल रहे कहीं दूर पूरे वातावरण में पवित्र तरंग उठ रहे हैं इन सब को आप स्वीकार करें अपने भीतर Let's also chant Om. हम भी 3 बार ओंकार का ध्वनि करते हैं गहरी सांस लीजिए रिलैक्स योर होल बॉडी, पूरे शरीर को ढीला छोड़ दें. लेट एवरी सेल इन आवर बॉडी start to relax, expand, and smile. ओम शांति शांति शांति. और धीरे धीरे आंखें खोल सकते हो. Slowly and gradually you may open your eyes.